Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Roofing Contractor Q&A. I'm RC editor Art Eisner, and we're continuing our conversation about GAF's major announcement regarding shingle recycling. Joining me is Tad Radzinski, Certification Officer of Green Circle Certified. They're a third-party certification organization that worked with GAF in evaluating this program. Tad, thank you for being here, and tell us, how did you get involved in this?
Thank you, Art. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. Green Circle Certified is a trusted third-party certification company that's worked with GAF for quite a few years now. We actually certify some of their facilities for zero waste to landfill and waste diversion from landfill. And we also certify some of their insulation products for recycled content. And I was talking with Jeff and the team at GAF, and he notified me that they were getting ready to make a big announcement about a new process that they had put together that takes old shingles, tear-off shingles, we call that recycled asphalt shingles, that would be torn off from buildings. And they had developed a methodology to recover that material and to integrate it back into the next generation of shingles. So when Jeff told me about that, I was, number one, very excited to hear about it, because it is something that's really important, since there's so much waste that comes off of old shingles. Billions of pounds a year go to landfills. And I talked with the GAF team, and I let them know that this would definitely be something that could be certified for not only recycled content in the new shingles that are using the tear-off material, but also could be a closed loop or circular product. And we are in process of just starting out that certification right now. And this is really something that's very important, because with such a huge waste stream and no one else in the world really doing this, it's definitely important for the recovery of the resource, the actual materials that were used to make the original shingles, but it's also shows leadership in driving movement towards a closed loop or circular economy.
Right, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Can you describe further, what is that concept of circular economy?
Yeah, so what we are doing in the world is, if you think about it, everything that we make is something that is disposable, right? So we call that take, make, waste economy, where we take raw materials out of the earth and we make a product and we use it for a while, and then at the end of its use or end of its life, we just put it in a landfill or dispose of it some other way. And with the activity, a lot of people on the planet, a lot of need for housing and a lot of need for other resources, there's a movement to figure out how we can take materials that were used for a certain function and then return them back into the economy. So in this case, taking shingles that come off a roof when it's at the end of life, and then taking them to a recycling facility or a processing facility where they're going to recover the materials that are in the shingles, the old shingles, and then send that off to another facility where they're going to be blended in and utilized to produce the next generation of new shingles. And this is something that I did a TED talk about 9 or 10 years ago about the importance of creating a closed loop or circular economy. And I'm happy to see that companies like GAF have stepped up, and they're actually doing something like this now, and helping to minimize waste and basically capture valuable resources and return them back into useful products.
And was the emphasis, back to your TED Talk that long ago, was that specific to roofing, or was that more of just a broader presentation?
Yeah, the TED Talk was more about really just what is a closed loop or circular economy, how important it was we design products to do that, because just the amount of waste that ends up in landfills and all the different loss of resources, and with the growing population and a lot of people that are moving into what I would call a middle class economy, that are going to need housing and are going to need products, we definitely have to do a better job of using the resources that we have. I spent 10 years working for the Environmental Protection Agency. I was their waste minimization national expert while I worked there. So I really got involved in understanding materials and waste and how it's really important to think about what we call sustainable materials management and recovery of these resources to create new products. So I wasn't focused on roofing, but in general, I was really trying to just educate people about how important this was. And now it's become a major focus for many organizations. And there's not many companies that are stepping up and being leaders like GAF is in this case.
Right, and that's kind of where I was going at, that is there anyone else really seeking this type of certification within the roofing space, or is it really kind of foreign to the type of industries you typically work with for certification?
Yeah, we actually do certify other roofing companies for things like waste diversion from landfill, and some of them have some recycled materials that they put into their shingles, but it's small percentages of material, and it's not actually taking old shingles and reprocessing them and then blending them into the product. So we haven't done any closed loop or that type of certification for any other shingle or roofing companies at this point. However, we have done some closed loop certification for some leaders like Interface Corporation that makes flooring. And we've certified their closed loop product for a number of years now, and they are definitely leaders in recovering materials and blending them back in. And I'm excited to say that GAF is definitely right up there in the same space with companies like Interface now that have, really committed to creating more of a circular economy and recovering and reusing materials that are typically ending up as waste.
Well, and that's becoming more and more important, and we're seeing more corporations really taking the driver's seat, so to speak, because government seems to be stalled, making progress, but you're seeing companies like GM, for instance, make commitments, and GAF, as part of this announcement, a $100 million investment in their research. Tell me a little bit about what impressed you about the technical aspects of this. Although it sounded like you were excited to hear that they were taking on this initiative at all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know that we've done a lot of work in the building products industry as a third-party certification company. We started the whole company in 2009 certifying recycled content for many products, and we do know that maybe some other companies have looked at this, but no one has really taken the initiative to make the investment and to do the research and development required to actually take these shingles, these old tear-off shingles, and turn them into a valuable resource. And that takes a lot of time and effort and money, as you just mentioned, the $100 million investment. And I think it's really important to note here that being able to go from just like a concept that was tested in a lab or in a small pilot scale to something that's much bigger is going to really change the whole marketplace. And it's going to give many homeowners and roofing contractors options, right? Because, there were some programs in the past where, maybe shingles would get recovered and sent off to an asphalt plant and made into roadways. But even that's only a short-term fix because most roadways have to be repaved or replaced, and probably a much shorter time than a roof would last. So by doing this, it's a big deal, and I'm excited to note that this is definitely going to be a game changer when it comes to the whole roofing industry at this point.
Well, so it sounds like you really share the optimism of the GAF leadership that really think this is a transformational moment.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Like I said, I've been involved in certifying building products for quite a long time. I'm an engineer by trade, and we've done a lot with green building work over the years as well with our sister company. And this has always been an issue, where you have materials that reach the end of life and there's no, nothing you can do with them, but, basically put them in the landfill. So I'm excited that the GAF leadership took the initiative and made the commitment to do this, and that they had the ability to, make the investment and bring this forward. And I think that this will set the standard for other companies around the world on how they should approach this, knowing that it's been proven that can be done economically and technically feasible. And the thing that I think is important to note here is, having been, understanding materials and doing this work for a long time, the fact that this can be done economically without any impact on quality is really exciting. Because sometimes people think, oh, if we're blending in recycled materials and the quality of the product goes down. And I know GAF has done all the testing to prove that there's no issues with quality, and this is actually going to be a solid, high quality product that won't have any issues going forward. Is what's really exciting, because I know they're standing behind this as part of the commitment to do it. So that's part of something that I think is important to make sure that your readers of Roofing Contractor understand that just because this is happening doesn't mean it should affect longevity, durability, or anything on these products, knowing that the research and development has been really done to make this happen. So.
And Ted, would that be your biggest takeaway for contractors listening, or is there another message perhaps for some that might be a little reluctant or don't necessarily have the buy-in yet to participate with something so new?
Yeah, well, I know that there have been contractors in the past that have definitely been very conscientious about what they were going to do with these materials when they do a tear off on a building. And I would encourage the contractors to definitely find out how they can make sure that these materials get diverted. Definitely, if possible, going off to be made back into shingles. And I think that's going to be a real important first step. The other thing that I would say is, they should definitely investigate this and talk to the folks at GAF and understand that, there would not be any issues in terms of durability and the quality on the roof. And I think that, that industry, if the numbers are correct from what I remember, it's about 21 billion pounds of shingles that are ending up in landfills every year. So imagine if we could change that whole process and system by getting everybody to dive in here, that I think it would be a huge savings of valuable resources. It would also minimize all that material going to waste and being disposed of in a landfill. And I think that, the roofing contractors shouldn't be afraid of it. And, I hope that, we'll see them, basically embrace this and see this as the wave of the future.
21 billion pounds. That's a lot of shingle mountains around this country.
It is.
Tad, where can contractors and others that are watching find out more information?
Yeah, so if people want to learn more about Green Circle Certified and the work we do, they can visit our website at greencirclecertified.com. We have a lot of information on there about our certifications. We do have on that website a certified product database. We're in process with these shingles, this activity right now with GAF, so it's not going to be on the website just yet, but we are working diligently to get the certification complete, and it will eventually be up there. However, they can also see other things on our website. We have a Brands You Can Trust page that shows some of the companies that we've certified in the last few months. We've just started that program where we recognize these, and eventually you'll see the GAF listed on there as well. And then if they're interested in anything about our certification process, one thing that we pride ourselves in is we are very rigorous, and it's not easy to earn a certification like this. There's a lot of documentation that we do. We actually have a whole approved certification process that actually is recognized by the United States Green Building Council for our closed loop certification in a new pilot credit called circular products. And our certification analysts follow a very rigorous process that requires visual inspections and verification that this is really happening, documentation collection through chain of custody, as well as we always run a mass balance to make sure that the materials that are being recycled and recovered are sent off to the GAF facility to be blended in and utilized to make the new shingles. And our team will make sure that that is accurate and correct and fully documented going forward. So people can trust that this is not just something that somebody is saying. There's going to be full transparency behind this, and a lot of effort by a company like ours to third party verify this claim.
All right, very good, Tad. I appreciate your insight and breaking that down for us. And thanks again to everyone out there for joining us today. If you haven't already, be sure to register for Roofing Contractors' new e-magazine and for our latest e-newsletters at roofingcontractor.com. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.